"But how did the accident happen?" asked Roll. "Oh, sir, in the most natural way possible," replied he to whom they had given the title of Count. "We were about a third of the way across the river when the cord of the ferry-boat broke. Alarmed by the cries and gestures of the boatmen, my horse sprang into the water. I cannot swim, and dared not throw myself into the river. Instead of aiding the movements of my horse, I paralyzed them, and I was just going to drown myself with the best grace in the world, when you arrived just in time to pull me out of the water. Therefore, sir, if you will agree, henceforward we are friends until death." "Sir," replied Raoul, bowing, "I am entirely at your service. I assure you—" "I am called the Count de Guiche," continued the young man. "My father is the Marshal de Grammont, and now that you know who I am, do me the honour to inform me who you are." "I am the Viscount de Bragelonne," answered Raoul, blushing at being unable to name his father, as the Count de Guiche had done. "Viscount, your countenance, your goodness, and your courage incline me toward you. My gratitude is already due. Shake hands, I crave your friendship." "Sir," said Raoul, returning the Count's pressure of the hand, "I like you already. From my heart pray regard me as a devoted friend, I beseech you. And now, where are you going, Viscount?" inquired De Guiche. "To join the army under the Prince, Count, and I, too," exclaimed the young man, in a transport of joy. "Oh, so much the better. We will fire the first shot together. It is well be friends," said the tutor. "Young as you both are, you were perhaps born under the same star, and were destined to meet. And now," continued he, "you must change your clothes. Your servants, to whom I gave directions the moment they had left the ferry-boat, ought to be already at the inn. Linen and wine are both being warmed. Come." Young men had no objection to this proposition; on the contrary, they thought it very timely. They mounted again at once, whilst looks of admiration passed between them. They were indeed two elegant horsemen, with figures slight and upright, noble faces, bright and proud looks, loyal and intelligent smiles. De Guiche might have been about 18 years of age, but he was scarcely taller than Raoul, who was only 15. Chapter XXX. Skirmishing. The halt at Noyon was but brief, every one there being wrapped in profound sleep. Raoul had desired to be awakened should Grimaud arrive, but Grimaud did not arrive. Doubtless, too, the horses on their part appreciated the 8 hours of repose and the abundant stabling which was granted them. The Count de Guiche was awakened at 5 o'clock in the morning by Raoul, who came to wish him good day. They breakfasted in haste, and at 6 o'clock had already gone 10 miles. The young Count's conversation was most interesting to Raoul, therefore he listened much, whilst the Count talked well and long. Brought up in Paris, where Raoul had been but once, at the court, which Raoul had never seen, his follies as page, 2 duels, which he had already found the means of fighting, in spite of the edicts against them, and, more especially, in spite of his tutor's vigilance, these things excited the greatest curiosity in Raoul. Raoul had only been at M. Scarron's house. He named to Guiche the people whom he had seen there. Guiche knew everybody: Madame de Newlyn, Mademoiselle Daubing, Mademoiselle de Scudery, Mademoiselle Paulet, Madame de Chevreuse. He criticized everybody humorously. Raoul trembled lest he should laugh among the rest at Madame de Chevreuse, for whom he entertained deep and genuine sympathy, but either instinctively, or from affection for the Duchess, he said everything in her favour. His praises increased Raoul's friendship twofold. Then came the question of gallantry and love affairs. Under this head, also, Bragelonne had much more to hear than to tell. He listened attentively, and fancied that he discovered through 3 or 4 rather frivolous adventures that the Count, like himself, had a secret to hide in the depths of his heart. De Guiche, as we have said before, had been educated at the court, and the intrigues of this court were not unknown to him. It was the same court of which Roll had so often heard the Comte de l'Offre speak, except that its aspect had much changed since the period when Athos had himself been part of it. Therefore everything which the Count de Guiche related was new to his travelling companion. The young count, witty and caustic, passed all the world in review. The queen herself was not spared, and Cardinal Mazarin came in for his share of ridicule. A day passed away as rapidly as an hour. The count's tutor, a man of the world and a bon vivant, up to his eyes in learning, as his pupil described him, often recalled the profound erudition, the witty and caustic satire of Athos to Raoul, but as regarded grace, delicacy, and nobility of external appearance, no one in these points was to be compared to the Comte de l'Offre. Horses, which were more kindly used than on the previous day, stopped at Arras at 4 o'clock in the evening. They were approaching the scene of war, and as bands of Spaniards sometimes took advantage of the night, they determined to remain in the town until the morrow. The French army held all between Pont de Marc as far as Valenciennes. Falling back upon Douai, the prince was said to be in person at Bethune.